Hello students, welcome to Pramati Hillview Academy digital class. Today I am going to take up the chapter The Adventures of Toto from the supplementary reading Moments. The Adventures of Toto by Ruskin Bond is a humorous and adventurous story of a naughty monkey named Toto. The writer's grandfather bought the monkey from a Tonga driver. The pranks played by Toto have been narrated in an interesting way and make the story a must-read for us. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of 5 rupees. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough, a large container for feeding animals. And the monkey looked so out of place there that the grandfather decided that he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. The writer's grandfather purchased a monkey named Toto from a Tonga driver by paying 5 rupees to him. The Tonga driver had tied the little red-colored monkey to a feeding trough so that he could not run away. When the writer's grandfather saw the monkey, he had a desire to add him to the collection of animals which he had in his zoo at home. Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep-set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. But his hands looked dried up, as though they had been pickled, food that is preserved in vinegar, in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks, grandfather believed a tail would add to anyone's good looks, also served as a third hand. He could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping, means lifting up any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hands. The writer gives a description of Toto. He had bright, shiny eyes which were full of mischief. The eyebrows were deeply set on his face. His teeth were like pearls. Many ladies belonging to the Anglo-Indian community got scared when they saw his teeth, which were displayed when he smiled. Toto's hands were dry and wrinkled as if they had been dried in the sun like pickled vegetables. He had a long tail. The writer's grandfather thought that the tail added to the good looks of an animal. Toto's tail was like a third hand for him. It helped him hang from the branch of a tree. He also used it to lift objects which were beyond his hand's reach. Grandmother always first when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal. So it was decided that Toto's presence should be kept a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Grandfather and I put him away in a little closet opening into my bedroom wall, where he was tied securely, or so we thought, to a peg, a hook fastened into the wall. The writer's grandmother was against the grandfather's attitude of bringing new pets, birds and animals. So the grandfather thought that they would conceal this fact from her until she was in a good mood. At that time they would disclose this to her. The writer and his grandfather secured Toto in a little cupboard in the writer's room. In order to be sure that Toto did not escape, they tied him to a hook in the wall. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, we found that the walls, which had been covered with some ornamental decorative paper chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. The peg in the wall had been wrenched, broke from its socket, and my school blazer, which had been hanging there, was in shreds, cut into thin slices. I wondered what grandmother would say, but grandfather did not worry. He seemed pleased with Toto's performance. The writer and his grandfather went to Toto after a few hours. The sight was shocking. Toto had torn the decorative wallpaper, he had broken the hook and had escaped from his binding. Also, he tore the writer's blazer into thin pieces. "He is clever," said grandfather. "Given time, I am sure he could have tied the torn pieces of your blazer into a rope and made his escape from the window." The grandfather was quite delighted to see Toto's adventure. He felt that Toto was very clever. He said that if they would have given him more time, he would have tied the thin pieces of the writer's torn blazer into a rope and would have escaped out of the window. His presence in the house still a secret. Toto was now transferred to a big cage in the servants' quarters where a number of grandfather's pets lived very sociably in a friendly manner together. A tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, and for a while my pet goat. But the monkey wouldn't allow any of his companions to sleep at night. So grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day to collect his pension in Saharanpur, decided to take him along. Toto was shifted to the servant quarter. He was put in a cage. He would live with other pets in grandfather's zoo. The zoo comprised of a tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a squirrel, and the writer's pet goat. Toto was very mischievous. He did not let animals sleep at night. The writer's grandfather had to leave for Saharanpur the next day. He decided to take Toto along with him as he was unmanageable. Unfortunately, I could not accompany grandfather on that trip, but he told me about it afterwards. A big black canvas kit bag was provided for Toto. This, with some straw at the bottom, became his new abode home. When the bag was closed, there was no escape. Toto could not get his hands through the opening, and the canvas was too strong for him to bite his way through. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor or occasionally jump into the air, an exhibition that attracted a curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. The writer was disappointed as he could not accompany his grandfather and Toto on the trip. His grandfather narrated the happenings of trip to him later. He had got a special bag for Toto. It was made of a strong material, canvas. He placed some dry grass at the bottom of the bag. On the trip, the bag would be Toto's home as he would live in it. The bag had a zipper on the top of it. The writer's grandfather ensured that when a bag was closed, Toto would not be able to escape out of it. Neither could he come out of the opening as it was closed with a zipper, nor could it bite the strong canvas material in order to run away. Still, Toto made unsuccessful attempts to come out of the bag. Due to this, many times the bag would roll on the floor or it would certainly jump in the air. These movements were noticed by the people on the railway platform and made them curious to know what was inside the bag. Onlookers were curious. Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur, but while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway turnstile, a mechanical gate consisting of revolving horizontal arms fixed to a vertical post, allowing only one person at a time to pass through, Toto suddenly poked his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. Toto remained secured in grandfather's bag till Saharanpur. At Saharanpur railway station, the writer's grandfather was taking out his ticket to cross the turnstile. At that time, Toto peeked out of the bag and smiled at the ticket collector. The poor man was taken aback, but with great presence of mind and much to grandfather's annoyance, to anger someone, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you. You'll have to pay for it accordingly." The ticket collector was astonished to see a monkey in grandfather's bag. He recovered quickly and asked grandfather to pay the ticket money for traveling with a dog. In vain, an unsuccessful attempt, did grandfather take Toto out of the bag. In vain did he try to prove that a monkey did not qualify as a dog or even as a quadruped, an animal which has 4 feet. Toto was classified a dog by the ticket collector, and 3 rupees was the sum handed over as his spare ticket price. Grandfather was unsuccessful in explaining to the ticket collector that Toto was a monkey and not a dog. He insisted that Toto was not even an animal with 4 feet, but the ticket collector was firm that Toto fell in the category of dogs. Grandfather had to pay 3 rupees for Toto's ticket. Then grandfather, just to get his own back, to take revenge, took from his pocket our pet tortoise and said, "What must I pay for this, since you charge for all animals?" The ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it, means pushed, with his 4 fingers and gave grandfather a pleased and triumphant look and said, "No charge. It is not a dog." Dear students, we have come to an end of the first session of the chapter, The Adventures of Toto by Ruskin Bond. In this session, you learnt how Toto, the monkey, came to grandfather's private zoo, how pretty Toto was, and of course, how mischievous he was. And you also learned what would happen to grandfather when he takes Toto to Saharanpur railway station. You also have witnessed the argument that would take place between grandfather and the ticket collector when the ticket collector discovers Toto in the bag. Some more interesting and fascinating stories of Toto will be told in my next session. Bye.